going on, world? DS1 Ross, and I'm back. Excuse me. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody who has tuned in to this Black History Month series of 2019. Very, very much appreciated, everybody. Much love to y'all. And stay tuned because we're gonna keep this thing going. Um, like I said, this is gonna be a permanent series that I'm gonna be doing. I've been doing it since 2017, so y'all go check that out. Check out 2017 and 2018. And I'm letting you guys know that, for all the new supporters, you know, this is something that I do every year on my channel. And I'm like I said, I do this for the uninformed adults, and I really do it for the youth because for the most part, we are told we are taught our history from an point. And they only teach us about the people they want us to know. Not to say that some of these people weren't important, because they were, but they've watered down a lot of things for us in these schools. So this is why I decided to use my platform to just inform people on some of our real history, and not from a watered down perspective. Not from you just writing a paragraph about them, and you know or them creating history books and telling you a person's history from in their book. So that's just a little background on why I do this. I appreciate all the love and support. Like I said, if you're listening, please do me a favor, hit that like button and share this show. And we're gonna keep this thing going, family. I appreciate y'all, like I said, and we're gonna get this thing started. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. Okay, first I'm gonna read some history about Fannie Lou Hamer. That's what we'll be talking about tonight. We're gonna be talking about Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm gonna read just some background information on her. The source is womenshistory.org. Womenshistory.org. Fannie Lou Hamer. Fannie Lou Townsend Hamer rose from humble beginnings in the Mississippi Delta to become one of the most important, passionate, and powerful voices of the civil and voting rights movement, and a leader in the efforts for greater economic opportunities for African Americans. So, just with that statement right there, just with those couple of sentences, is the exact reason why I make sure I include our Black women in our Black history. Because she was one of the most important people when it came to civil rights and voting for Black people. She was one of the most important people, a woman, a Black woman. See, on this platform, we not afraid to uplift the black women who are notable, who are valuable to us, who are valuable to our people. We're not gonna wipe our women out our history over here. Believe that. Fannie Lou Townsend Hamer rose from humble beginnings in the Mississippi Delta to become one of the most important, passionate, and powerful voices of the civil and voting rights movements and a leader in the efforts for greater economic opportunities for African Americans. Hamer was born on October 6, 1917, in Montgomery County, Mississippi, the 20th and last child of sharecroppers Lou Ella and James Townsend. Damn, she was the youngest out of 20 kids. And you got people now, you got black people now saying we don't need to have that much children. And she was the 20th child, and her parents were sharecroppers. She grew up in poverty, and at age 6, Hamer joined her family picking cotton. By age 12, she left school to work. In 1944, she married Perry Hamer, and the couple toiled on the Mississippi plantation owned by B.D. Marlowe until 1962. Because Hamer was the only worker who could read and write, she also served as a plantation timekeeper. In 1961, Hamer received a hysterectomy by a white doctor without her consent while undergoing surgery to remove a uterine tumor. Wow. Did y'all hear that? A white doctor just gave her a hysterectomy while she was supposed to be getting, from what it sounds like, fibroids. She was supposed to be going to get some fibroids removed, and he just snatched all of that out from down there. Now, back in these times, this was something that, white doctors, you know, um, pretty much pushed to the forefront for black women, and they still do it to this day. That's your first choice. They tell you to just get a hysterectomy if you're feeling pain down there, if you got some issues going on. That's their remedy for it. They're gonna give you a bunch of pills, and then they're just gonna snatch all that stuff out, and then whatever happens after that just happens. So this still happens to this day. But back then we didn't have no rights. We didn't have no civil rights. So they'll just do it. Now that's just their first offer. They offer that to black women first to get a hysterectomy. Sick. Such forced sterilization of black women as a way to reduce the black population was so widespread, it was dubbed a Mississippi appendectomy. Mm. So it was like this was something that was known in Mississippi. So population control is real. It's not a conspiracy because the way they were trying to reduce the black population was to just snatch all of the reproductive organs of black women without their consent. This is what was occurring. This was the norm. Unable to have children of their own, the Hamers adopted two daughters. So she did adopt children. That summer, Hamer attended a meeting led by civil rights activist James Foreman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and James Bevel of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Now, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference also was connected with the Deacons of Defense. Y'all go check out my stream I did about the Deacons of Defense. Hamer was incensed by efforts to deny blacks the right to vote. She became a SNCC organizer and on August 31st, 1962, led 17 volunteers to register to vote at the Indianola, Mississippi courthouse. So a lot of us say that we shouldn't vote, we shouldn't vote, we shouldn't vote, we shouldn't vote. And our people pushed us to vote. Our black historians pushed us to vote. But if you notice, everybody who I've talked about so far, because Harry T. Moore cared about voting, everybody cared about voting back then. But if you notice, they brought people to vote. So what they actually was doing was they was pooling our vote and pushing it to one politician. They wasn't just sending people to go vote for anybody. And that's what we don't do now. We don't do that no more. We just go and let people vote as individuals. No, we supposed to go and vote as a group. And we supposed to know and already have established who we're going to vote for and for what reason. So they were much more strategic than we are now when it came to voting, because the order at hand back then was unity. And it's not that now. Now it's about individualism. Back then it was about unity. And that's because times were much harder. If we was forced back into chattel slavery right now, we'll be forced to unify. We'll be forced to unify. Look at the prisons. In the prisons, black men were forced to unify at one point. This is how you got your basically your East Coast Bloods. I'm gonna say New York, the UBN, the United Blood Nation. It started in the prisons in New York because they had to unify against Spanish and white gangs. So they had to unify because they was getting hurt. So as you can see, when the situations become real sticky, we'll be forced to unify, black people. Trust and believe that. Don't think you're just gonna run around and be an individual forever, because certain situations always forced us to unify. Let us not be able to eat. Let the goddamn lights go off in society for about 2 days. Or you're going to see masses of black people grouping up. See, we too comfortable. That's why a lot of us don't believe in unifying, because we too comfortable. But let something crazy happen and masses of black people start dying. Some black people gonna smarten up and get together, man. Trust and believe. It's gonna happen. Let me start that over. So that summer, Hamer attended a meeting led by civil rights activist James Foreman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, that's the SNCC, and James Bevel of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC. Hamer was incensed by efforts to deny blacks the right to vote. She became a SNCC organizer and on August 31st, 1962, led 17 volunteers to register to vote at the Indianola, Mississippi courthouse. Denied the right to vote due to an unfair literacy test. See how they always throwing the monkey wrench in the game? An unfair literacy test. Just like how when I was in high school, a lot of the people that graduated with me, they had to pass us because we was taking Regents exams that were rigged. One of the math Regents, which is a literacy test. They had to pass us, the class of 2003, because they was wondering why nobody could pass this math test, this Regents math test. And then when they had experts come in, the questions were rigged. You had 2 and 3 answers for one question. And they realized that this is why these kids were failing. So the stuff that we see going on now is age-old tricks. Now I see why older people be like, this is just a rerun to me. Because when you live, you start to see the same things play out over and over, just in a different way. See, they used that literacy test, which was rigged, as a way to deny them the vote. Now, if voting didn't give you power, why did they always try to find a way to deny us the vote? Think about that. Denied the right to vote due to an unfair literacy test, the group was harassed on their way home when police stopped their bus and fined them $100. Here they go again. Here they go once again, attacking people. Denied the right to vote due to an unfair literacy test, the group was harassed on their way home when police stopped their bus and fined them $100 for the trumped up charge that the bus was too yellow. You hear that? Y'all hear that? That night, Marlowe fired Hamer for her attempt to vote. Remember, she used to pick cotton. That was her job. So her boss fired her because she went to try to go and vote. Her husband was required to stay until harvest. Marlowe confiscated much of their property. The Hamers moved to Ruleville, Mississippi, and Sunflower County with very little. So all the things that they accumulated while they was working on this plantation, you know, um, got snatched, all because of what, you know, Fannie went and did, what she was attempting to do. Because trying to go and vote is considered an act of, trying to escape or trying to become free. In June 1963, after successfully registering to vote, Hamer and several other black women were arrested for sitting in a white-only bus station restaurant in Charleston, South Carolina. At the jailhouse, she and several of the women were brutally beaten. Here they go again. Here they go again. Leaving Hamer with lifelong injuries from a blood clot in her eye, kidney damage, and leg damage. You gotta hear that? In 1964, Hamer's national reputation soared as she co-founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, which challenged the local Democratic Party's efforts to block black participation. Hamer and other MFDP members went to the Democratic National Convention that year, arguing to be recognized, arguing to be recognized, arguing to be recognized, not to be better than nobody, not to be more superior than nobody, but to be recognized as the official delegation. When Hamer spoke before the Credentials Committee, calling for mandatory integrated state delegations, President Lyndon Johnson held a televised press conference so she would not get any television airtime. See that? You see that? Because what? If she would have got on television, her message would have spread much further, which is called what? Propaganda. Isn't the television a propaganda tool? See? So you already see how everything she's doing, she's being stopped. She's being marginalized. But notice, she's not quitting. She's not giving up. She's not saying, I'm going to stop fighting. This is a black woman who got beaten and was left with a permanent leg injury, permanent kidney injury, and a permanent blood clot in her eye from being beaten by police. A black woman who was fighting for the civil rights of black people. She still didn't give up. You better pay attention, family. But her speech, with its pertinent descriptions of racial prejudice in the South, was televised later. By 1968, Hamer's vision for racial parity in delegations had become a reality, and Hamer was a member of Mississippi's first integrated delegation. So she ended up getting everything she was fighting for on that level. What she wanted was equality when it came to these delegates because there were no black representation in politics. So she was fighting for that. She wanted it to be fair. She wanted black people to have a fair shot in this wicked system. She wanted black people to have a fair shot. And she knew that politics was the way to go because that's the only way we would ever have a fair shot. It's through politics. Because policy and legislature dictates on how people are going to act in society. So if certain things is passed through laws, then certain things would have stopped happening to black people. See, our people knew that back then. But now everybody think that money is the way out. No, money is a part of it, but money itself is not the way out. In 1964, Hamer helped organize Freedom Summer, which brought hundreds of college students, black and white, to help with African American voter registration in the segregated South. Now, a lot of pro blacks would be like, oh, well, she wanted to integrate. Why she wanted to integrate. So she's a sellout because she wanted to integrate. No, you fool. The reason why she put blacks and whites together, so see, people don't understand this. The reason why the people back then wanted the whites to, what we wanted white people to understand what we were going through so they could stop being prejudiced and hateful just like the government was. They wanted the normal white people in society to understand the plight of black people. This is why they wanted them to be a part of it, not to be like white folk. We ain't never want to be like white folk. But y'all get on YouTube and this is what y'all run around and say. Y'all call everybody a coon. Everybody's a coon, right? Everybody's a sellout. No, we wanted the everyday white person to understand what the everyday black person went through and why it was happening. And to some form of fashion, we were successful at it because back then there was a lot of, you know, white participation in some black movements. In 1964, Hamer helped organize Freedom Summer, which brought hundreds of college students, black and white, to help with African American voter registration in the segregated South. See, y'all got to understand, in the South back then, segregation, prejudice, that stuff was normal to white people. That was normal. So this is why she brought white children around black children to do something for a black cause because you're taught to be prejudiced. You're taught to be hateful. So she wanted to show these white children what is going on in the world because a lot of them didn't understand. Just like now, a lot of these white people don't know why they hate black people. A lot of these little white kids, they're taught that. They were taught to hate people. A lot of them. That's why they hate us. Because they was taught that by other hateful people. But if you can get children to see that from a young age, then they will know that that's wrong. You see? It's wrong to hate anyone. You shouldn't hate anybody. In 1964, she announced her candidacy for the Mississippi House of Representatives, but was barred from the ballot. You see that? She was barred from the ballot. After she was able to get the integrated delegation party where we had our representation, then they barred her from the ballot so nobody could vote for her. See that? So the stuff we see going on now, this they've been doing this. They've been doing it. They've been doing it. Rigging votes. They've been doing this type of stuff. A year later, Hamer, Victoria Gray, and Annie Devine became the first Black women to stand in the U.S. Congress when they unsuccessfully protested the Mississippi House election of 1964. She also traveled extensively, giving powerful speeches on behalf of civil rights. In 1971, Hamer helped to found the National Women's Political Caucus, the National Women's Political Caucus. So here's a Black woman who fought for Black women to be in politics. Hmm, let that sink in. Frustrated by the political process, Hamer turned to economics. Frustrated by the political process, Hamer turned to economics as a strategy, as a strategy, as a strategy, a strategy, not as a feeling, not a, this is how I feel. So I'm going to do this because this is how I feel. This is, I felt like doing this. This is how I feel. No, this Black woman was a strategist. See, she went to war with the government. Through what? The political process. Strategy. Hamer turned to economics as a strategy. You know who else does that? I'm going to give y'all a hint. He wrote the book Powernomics. I'm going to go look in the chat room, see if y'all know who I'm talking about. Because he's using, or he proposed that Black people should use economics, not money, economics as a strategy. Shout out to everybody in the chat too. I appreciate y'all. Exactly. Doug the diplomat, Dr. Claude Anderson. Hamer turned to economics as a strategy for greater racial equality. In 1968, she began a pig bank to provide free pigs for Black farmers to breed, raise, and slaughter. A year later, she launched the Freedom Farm Cooperative, FFC, buying up land that Blacks could own and farm collectively. With the assistance of donors, including famous singer Harry Belafonte, she purchased 640 acres and launched a co op store, a boutique, and a sewing enterprise. Now, she didn't do this for money. You see, she did this for what? She did this as a what? A strategy for what? Racial equality. She didn't do it for a paycheck. See, that's the individualistic mindset. You see? That's that rugged individualism. She did it for what? Racial equality. Because she understood how business and politics coincides. And she already knew that because what? Her parents were sharecroppers. And she got fired by her employer because she went to vote. So she already knew that. Pay attention, y'all. She single handedly ensured that 200 units of low income housing were built. Many still exist in Ruleville today. Low income housing. Low income housing. She insured 200 units. So she's feeding Black people, she's housing Black people, and she's making sure that Black people got jobs. See, when you start doing stuff like that, you really become a threat because you really become an influence. Because if you can put clothes on somebody's back by providing them a way to feed themselves, and you're also providing the food, what you're building is you're becoming autonomous within society where you don't need subsidized income from the government. You don't need that. You don't need to go to White Zaddy for no money and no food. See, Fannie knew that because she grew up picking cotton on a plantation for White Zaddy. Her parents were sharecroppers. And some of this low income housing still exists in Ruleville today. This article from National Women's History Museum, which comes from womenshistory.org, this article was written in 2017. It was edited in 2017. So some of what she built still stands to today. The FFC lasted until the mid 1970s. And at its heyday, it was among the largest employers in Sunflower County. Let me read that again. The FFC, which is the Freedom Farm Cooperative, lasted until the mid 1970s. And in its heyday, it was one of the largest employers in that county. So, one of the biggest employers in Sunflower County was started by a black woman. Was started by a black woman. So this should tell black women something about who they are and where they come from. If you want to be great black woman, you can. She did all this with a messed up leg, a blood clot in her eye, and a damaged kidney from getting beat by police. And she still accomplished all of this. This is a woman who dropped out of school at 12 years old. She dropped out of school at 12 and started working picking cotton. Pay attention. The FFC lasted until the mid 1970s, and in its heyday, it was among the largest employers in Sunflower County. Extensive travel and fundraising took Hamer away from the day to day operations, as did her failing health. And the FFC hobbled along until folding. Not too long after, in 1977, Hamer died of breast cancer at the age of 59. Mm, 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 mm. She fought so much for our people, she developed cancer. Mm, mm, mm. So, to my sisters, stop thinking you don't have power, because you do. Stop thinking you haven't made a mark in this society, in this world, on the behalf of your people, because you have. Okay? But it's just a certain type of black woman who can do that. You see? There's a certain archetype of a black woman who can withstand this, who can deal with this, who can actually fight, who actually has the will to fight. So if you feel like you a black woman that is like that, you can take this dissertation as motivation. If you know a young black woman who you see these things in her, push her. Let her listen to this dissertation about Fannie Lou Hamer. And I got a couple of more black women that's coming who was fighting for the freedom of black people. And she did all of this and still had a husband, still took care of children. She wasn't, oh, I'm too tired to cook. I'm too tired. That's why I said take a certain type of woman to be a freedom fighter. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate y'all listening. Shout out to all my moderators. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. If you're tuned in, please smash that like button, please. No doubt, Doug. I appreciate you too, bro. Thanks for tuning in, man. Shout out to Monique Hill. Shout out to my brother JT. Shout out to my brother Rob, the educator in our community. Shout out to Vonda Harris. Thanks for tuning in, Vonda. Appreciate you. Shout out to my bro Deshaun. Shout out to Muhammad is the one. Thanks for tuning in, bro. Good to see you, Muhammad. Hope all is well, bro. Shout out to my brother Gab. Shout out to Handling Jones. Shout out to the Thunder God, Zeus Flippy. Shout out to brother Danubian. Thanks for tuning in, brother Danubian. Shout out to the great moderator, Poetic Kels. Thanks for tuning in, sis. I appreciate you. I appreciate your great promotion, your great marketing skills. Shout out to Teresa Ware. Thanks for tuning in, sis. Mika 32. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Shout out to Ty Brown. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to my bro Shug on the check-in. You might have to catch the replay, bro. Oh, I like that, JT. I like that, bro. The spoken truth in our community. I like that. That's hard. Oh, bro. I like that, bro. I like that, bro. The spoken truth in our community. I like that right there. I like that. Shout out to my brother JT for that. I love that right there, bro. That shit just made me smile, bro. I like that. I like that right there. That's hard. I wonder why you ain't got your rent, sure. But yeah, I appreciate all y'all for tuning in. I will be back a little later on. Matter of fact, not even a little later on. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back. Y'all give me about 15 minutes. I'll be right back with another black historian. With another one. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all haven't yet, make sure y'all hit that like button. Appreciate it. Definitely, Monique Hill. I appreciate it. Should definitely try to stay lifted, man. Try to keep our spirits up. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Um, I will be right back, so y'all stay tuned. Look out for the notification. Go ahead and hit that. Go ahead and go and smash that subscribe button. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell to get all the notifications for Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, DS1 Ross, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be good. Peace.